Let's talk about something nobody in power wants you to notice. The people running the Western world aren't just old, they're clinging on, and the rest of us are paying the price. Think about what we actually watched happen. A sitting US president wandering across stages, searching for exits that weren't there. One of the most powerful senators in American history literally freezing mid-sentence at a press conference. His brain just stopped. And we were told, don't worry, he's sharp behind closed doors. Right, this isn't just about health. It's about a class of people who would genuinely rather watch everything collapse than give up their seats at the table. And the numbers tell a brutal story. The top 10% of Americans, overwhelmingly people over 65, own nearly all the stocks, most of the houses, and almost all the land. When you own everything, you write the rules. And the rules they've written essentially function as a giant pump, pulling wealth out of younger working people and funneling it straight into retirement accounts. Take housing. In Canada and Australia right now, the idea of a young person owning a home isn't just difficult. It's practically a joke. Why? Because governments keep importing hundreds of thousands of people every year while refusing to build anywhere near enough housing. Basic supply and demand. More people, same number of homes, prices explode. And who already owns those homes? The same generation that controls the government. They're getting richer every single year, while people in their 30s are spending 60% of their income just to rent a basement apartment. Then they turn around and say, we need more immigration to fund pensions. So more people arrive, competing for the same cramped apartments, pushing up rents, pushing up food costs, pushing up transport. You're being squeezed from both directions, paying taxes to fund elderly health care and paying inflated rent that funds their real estate profits. It's essentially a double tax on being young. Meanwhile, the stock market keeps hitting record highs. Does that feel right to you? How can the economy supposedly be booming when the actual people living in it feel completely broke? Because the economy isn't measuring your life. It's measuring the asset portfolios of people who are already retired. The whole thing is engineered to make sure those asset prices never fall. And because young people can't afford homes, can't afford stability, they stop having children. The birth rate is in free fall. But rather than fix the conditions causing that, governments simply replace the missing population with immigration. They want 100 million people in Canada by 2100. They want London, Paris, and Toronto functioning essentially as labor pools for global corporations, not as communities where people build actual lives. Then there's the part that should genuinely disturb you. In Canada, they've built an entire infrastructure around assisted dying, and it started expanding far beyond terminal illness. People who are poor, people who are disabled, people who cost the healthcare system money. Because it turns out a lethal injection is significantly cheaper than adequate housing, mental health support, or a livable pension. Think about that. The same society that can't house its young people and won't properly fund disability support has made it extremely easy to die. Who benefits from clearing those hospital beds? The same generation demanding hip replacements and premium care. All of it adds up to what can only be described as a fake economy. America is sitting on $37 trillion in debt, a number so massive it barely registers as real anymore. The interest alone is growing faster than the entire economy. The middle class as a concept is being quietly buried. And when you point any of this out, you get told you're misreading the data. Inflation is actually good for you. It's not a recession, it's a transition. Stop believing what your life feels like and trust the spreadsheet. Ask yourself who actually wins from all of this. High property prices, great if you own property. High stock prices, great if you own stocks. Mass immigration, great if you need cheap labor. Easy euthanasia, great if you need hospital beds freed up. There's no secret society behind this. It's just millions of older, wealthier voters consistently choosing policies that protect their bank balances, regardless of what it costs their grandchildren. The original pension math assumed you'd retire at 65 and be dead by 72. 7 years of payments, then you exit. But that's not happening. People are living into their 90s and staying in positions of power the entire time. The average US senator is older than many countries' retirement ages. We have people who visibly struggle to string a sentence together, making decisions about war, debt, and the future of technology they've never used. This creates a total blockage. No new thinking gets through. No new leadership gets a foothold. The society stops being able to adapt, and adaptation is literally the only thing that keeps a civilization alive. When an 80-year-old refuses to leave the Senate and a 70-year-old refuses to vacate the executive suite, they're not just occupying a chair. They're actively preventing an entire generation from developing the experience and authority needed to actually run things. We've somehow arrived at a world where 40-year-olds are still treated as too junior because the people above them refuse to move. And because they're making decisions based on a world that effectively ended in the mid-90s. They don't understand artificial intelligence. They don't understand the housing crisis. They don't understand why young people are quietly giving up on the future. They just watch their net worth increase and assume everything must be fine. History is full of this pattern. When empires start failing from the inside, the people at the top don't try to fix it. They strip what's left. They sell national assets to foreign investors. They run up debt they'll never have to repay. They keep the population distracted with cultural conflict and outrage cycles, and they quietly take the lifeboats while telling everyone else the ship isn't sinking. That's the world young people are inheriting right now. A system designed entirely around the comfort of people who are already done building their lives, at the direct expense of people who are just trying to start theirs. Higher housing costs, persistent inflation, a political class that genuinely cannot lead, debt that will never be repaid, institutions too rigid to reform themselves. This is what a society looks like when it decides its past matters more than its future. When it would rather crush the ambitions of the young than ask the old to accept slightly less. The people in charge aren't going to fix this. Most of them don't even fully understand what's broken. They're waiting for the next quarterly dividend while the foundations crack beneath them. So the real question isn't whether this is happening. The question is what you decide to do with that knowledge. Next time, we're looking at the collapse of Roman currency, and you're going to find the parallels uncomfortably familiar.